Hello, Active Sage here on the Sage channel, and today I'm here to bring you another mining ship. Now, in the past, I built the small mining ship called Ploutos, named after a certain god. Now, if we were to open up my tabs here, I can type out that name, and you can see this is Ploutos. I have a video explaining how it works and everything about it, and there's an annotation to that if you'd like to see it. But this is basically a mining ship that you set it facing towards an asteroid, you turn it on, and it cuts its way through the asteroid. Once it gets out the other side, it stops, and you would go ahead and have to remote control it back to your base and empty out its cargo. Because as you can see, if we were to cut it open, on the inside of it we only have one medium cargo container and a bunch of components inside. Now, we'll go ahead and delete that. This is basically my new miner. This is the Autominer, and this one is built to be pretty much completely autonomous, meaning you can get it near an asteroid and then it just does everything for you except for drop off supplies, but it has much larger supplies on the inside. So let's go ahead and go all the way down here, and you can see the basic start of it was I started off with just the head of it. I wanted it to be able to mine a whole lot at once, and you can see we have a bunch of sensors here, which I eventually ended up hooking up to a bunch of gyroscopes on the back to allow it to detect the asteroid in a specific direction, actually rotate the ship. I went on from there, piping everything up. You can see the sensors were starting to be programmed, and then connected the two containers. So unlike Ploutos, this one actually has two large containers, so it should be able to hold a whole lot more. And then of course it also has the more reactors. It's got 4 reactors there. And then of course I went on from there, put on a skin, and started actually applying thrusters and other things that we would need. And I believe, yeah, I have cameras in there. Now, from this point on, you're not going to see much change the exterior, because at this point I was fiddling with, well, the sensor setup in here, and you can see a gyroscope right in here, and other little components on the inside, and actually just altering how the sensors work from here on out. So if we were to look at the front of this one, you'll see that instead of having an antenna here, we have 2 timer blocks, and then we have, instead of a gyroscope, another sensor here. So you can see we start having more and more varied stuff on the inside of this thing as time goes on. And if we fly all the way up here, just more changes to the inside and actually the programming and all that. I say programming, I just mean there's sensor fields. You can see once again we have the setup pretty much the same in here, but I believe if we were to fly out into this area here, yes indeed, you can see we have another sensor hidden down there, and actually fly above these pipes, you can see we have another sensor hidden up there, and that one appears to be off, but they're pretty much all set up and turned on, ready to go on this one here, or at least they should be. Let's do a quick double check. That sensor's off, that's good. This one down here should be off, yes indeed. They should all be off because I have them set. Oh my god, confusing and lost. There we go. There's the sensor block. Yeah, so they should all be off right now, and basically you can remote control this ship over to its location and then press that button right there on top, and it'll turn all the sensors on, and if it's near an asteroid like that one over there, it'll start mining its way through it. Now, the way these sensors work, I have this one over here. It's the same exact copy of the one we were just looking at, and I've just gone out of spectator mode into my actual character, and I have all the sensors in there set to show on HUD, and if I was actually go ahead and look in here at them, and we'll find all the sensors by typing that in. You see I have a sensor for up, and you can see its range is here. Its back extent isn't as far as its front, but the down sensor, it actually has its back extent higher than the front, even though these sensors are placed in pretty much the same direction. That's because I was finding that it would mine its way through an asteroid, and then all 4 directional sensors would still be detecting the asteroid directly behind it, so it'd be trying to turn in every direction at once, and it wouldn't turn. So I needed to have at least one direction that it wouldn't detect it after a while, so the other directions would basically overpower, or that one direction, so it would actually be able to spin that one way. And I actually have 2 of those. So if you look, I have up, its back is set to 30, and then right, I believe, its back is, yes, set to 30. Whereas on the left and down, the same thing applies here, where I have their settings a bit different here. So hopefully, you know, that keeps it from just locking in a straight line. When it gets straight out of it, it'll actually start to turn around a bit sooner than it would otherwise, because these sensor fields go pretty much all the way around the back. And to properly demonstrate that, I'm going to go into my info tab, and because I have all those set to show on, there we go, show location, it'll actually go ahead and show up to all these, or at least it should. What did that take? Show sensor field range, yes please. Maybe it's because I have to toggle these on and off. Oh wait, no, it's probably because all the sensors are turned off. There we go, turn the sensors on, and instantly we're inside this huge, fairly confusing mess of sensors. As you can see, basically we have a huge rectangle for the top section right here. So this whole huge area up front, let me go ahead and turn on my target reticle. So this huge section right here from that corner to that corner and then all across the center waypoint is basically the top up sensor. So anything that flies, or if it detects an asteroid anywhere within that, the ship's going to try to turn upwards. Same for this whole right section right here that we're looking at. Detects an asteroid there, it'll try to turn to the right. So if an asteroid's detected right here, and between both of the up and right fields, it'll turn to its right and up. So it's a pretty cool system overall, and you get how that works. We have one for the left and one for the bottom, and then you can see that this left one and the bottom one stick out further towards the back than otherwise, which allows the ship to turn basically down and to its left if the asteroid gets behind it, without just going straight forward, since this one sensor field right here, which is part of, basically this one quadrant right here, is part of the right and up, will not be detecting the asteroid anymore, so the other two directions will overpower it, and the ship will begin to turn down into its left and go back to the asteroid faster that way. And then the same applies for out here, where it's the inverse of that. Now, we do have a few other sensor fields, as I'm sure you've noticed, stuck onto the inside of this. One of these main sensor fields, I think it's this big one right here, is just the if detect asteroid. Actually, yeah, if detect asteroid in front, it's just going to keep moving forward. So that's what this huge box right here inside is, or rectangle, I guess, is if it detects an asteroid in that box, it's just going to turn the engines on and keep going forward. And that box is farther forward than it is back. I could trim off the back section a little bit more. In fact, I think I might do that before I actually publish it. But right now it works reasonably well. It sometimes floats a bit farther out, and actually, before I test this, I'll probably drop that a little bit. Let's actually do that now, really quickly. So I'm in the sensors. I got the forward sensor right here, and I believe the back extent was, yes, 40. We're going to drop this back down to 30. Yeah, we'll just go with 35, and that should do fine. So this will have dropped a tiny bit back towards the ship. Otherwise, we could end up with some trouble that I've actually run into, but this should help cut down on that. Because I want this thing to be able to fly pretty far away from the asteroid before it does its full turn. And in fact, I'm going to drop down that down to 30 really quick. There we go, that down to 30. Now, while I'm in here, you can see some other ones, like we have drills go, full forward, full stop. And what a lot of these are is the full forward. So we got that big one I've just shown you that makes the whole thing go forward, that we were just inside its bubble. Then we have drills go, which is this one right here. I'm just tracing around the edges of this big cube, and you can see this one's mainly on the front area here, and this one doesn't go back very far because we don't need the drills on once the ship gets out of the asteroid. That big cube was just for getting the ship to go forward, so once it sees an asteroid vaguely in front of it, or even if it's a bit behind it, it'll keep it going forward. That way it'll get to the asteroid or get away from it if it's just drilled through it. But this one, we want it to be mainly in front, so it'll turn on the drills and these lights at the top, which should be orange and yellow, but currently there seems to be a glitch where if you copy and paste a ship, it just resets all the light colors to yellow or white. So when I show you this, it'll only be blinking white or yellow. I don't know exactly which one it'll choose this time. And then we have more sensor fields, like the other one right here, I believe. This is the full stop field. This is the front edge of it, and it doesn't even go back past halfway the ship. It should be about right here. And what that one does is if it detects another small ship in front of it in that field, it'll instantly stop all forward thrusters. So we actually have 6 forward thrusters on each side. 3 are the basic ones that'll come on when that big cube, or the bigger cube, sees an asteroid, and then the other 3 are turned on when, if you look right here, we can see another edge of a sensor field once that detects an asteroid. So once it's like right inside the asteroid, that's when those come on. And I don't want those on from a big distance, otherwise the ship will gain too much speed as it's approaching the asteroid and risk blowing its own drills off as it impacts the edges of the asteroid. But those will shut all of them off if the full stop field detects another ship, because we can of course have multiple of these drones drilling at once. We don't want them running into each other. And once the Once it no longer detects a small ship in front of it, it'll turn back on the weaker of the sets of thrusters, and the ship will start going forward very, very slowly. Now, I originally had it set to turn on both sets of thrusters, and I might have it set to that again, but you run the risk of doing that somehow it'll get triggered when it's floating about in free space, and then your ship's going to be trying to run away from you pretty damn quickly. So it's a bit dangerous. I'm not sure which one I'll keep for the actual version I upload. Probably the way I have it right now, which is just the weaker of the two sets. And by the way, these are mirrored on the other side right here, and they'll act the same way. Anyway, that's how it works. That's a basic explanation of it. Let's go ahead and delete that one. And really quickly, I'm going to copy and paste this one over there on that fresh asteroid, and we'll start mining through it. Of course, I need to make those changes to the sensor field, so give me 1 second. There we go, got the sensors set up, and I did go ahead and change it so all those engines should be coming on. And of course, I'm going to update my blueprint here, doing the replace from clipboard with the copied version I just made of this ship. Now let's go ahead now and test this thing out by flying over to this asteroid over here, and we'll paste in a few of these drones. And also, like I said, you can remote control them, so we'll paste it in out here, where I think it's just outside of range of the asteroid field. We'll go ahead and turn on its sensors here. So there we go, I've clicked to turn that on, and we'll actually go ahead and remote control it using the control me group, which links directly to a remote control block. And now you can see I am in direct control of this ship, and the sensors are indeed on because I pressed that button. And I'll just go ahead and get it closer to the asteroid. Any second now, automated systems will take over, and in fact I can drive it in sideways to demonstrate how it actually works. There we go. There we go. I'm not pressing anything now. Oh, looks like it wasn't quite ready. It's best if you start these things. Okay, there. When they are pretty close. And then you can see it's a bit finicky. It's actually missed because it's getting the signal to go forward. So really I should probably narrow its go forward path as well. You can see I actually got pretty sick over the last few days. It was on Thursday I was working on this thing. Oh god. What happened there was I think I flew into the stopping range. Oh god, hold on. Let me tweak a few things. Alright, so I've gone ahead and tweaked the forward thing so it's not shooting off by 20 in each direction. It's only 10 now, so it'll be a much tighter beam to go forward. And then I've also tweaked, actually I think that was about it. As I was saying, when I first built the ship it was about Thursday. I think that was the 10th or so. And at that point I started feeling a bit under the weather, so a lot of my thoughts on this kind of got forgotten. So I'm sort of having to redo some stuff as I go and do a lot of re-troubleshooting. So anyway, now this should actually be set up correctly, and we'll go ahead and copy this one and paste it over there closer to the asteroid, and it should, if it's turning, I thought it should have been able to see it. The forward sensor, that's the other thing I did. I set it to be 48 meters out, and it just happens to be missing, it looks like. So let's go ahead, delete this one, we'll paste in another one a little bit closer, obviously. Again, I'm going to paste it facing the wrong way because I want to demonstrate the fact that it is an autonomous thing, if a bit finicky. There you go, you can see because the field behind it is being fired, or is sensing the asteroid directly behind it. It's still firing the forward thrusters. And then the second, there we go, it's no longer facing it. Right. There we go. I had to set the back sensor up to 45. I'm remembering now. I had some sort of serious stomach flu or something that took me out. But I had that back sensor originally set to 45. It's a good demonstration of why some of the stuff seems a bit weird. I had that set to 45 because it needs to get it far enough out that all those turning sensors in the back of it will actually see stuff. I could drop them all back in. And you can see there it goes in relatively slowly, and then right before it gets right up to it, it fires those heavier thrusters here, and at this point the whole thing just pretty much automatically mines its way through. And it'll sometimes have a snag or two. I've gone in spectator mode so we can fly into the asteroid and see it mining in, but for the most part it goes without issue, and it should be able to mine its way all the way through now. Hopefully. Alrighty, obviously I cut ahead a bit there, and you can see that now it's gone ahead and mined its way all the way through here. Pretty cool. And it's about to breach the outer side of the asteroid completely automatically. Pretty simple and straightforward so far. And there you go, it's breaching the outer bit here, and any second now it's going to fly straight out. And of course it'll slow down. There you go, you see those bigger thrusters shut off, the drills shut off, and it should fly out to, yep, there, and it turns, sees the asteroid again. Those engines there have come on, and it's going to fly towards it. And it ends up aiming a lot of times at the edges. I'll probably make a different version of this in the future when my mind is a little less scattery, and tweak a lot of that. But for now, I think this works pretty well. And you can see there, it did start accelerating. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go ahead and spawn in quite a few of these that are now functioning, and go ahead and just time-lapse them cutting away at this asteroid. And it should be a pretty interesting sight. I'll probably do it actually from the inside of the asteroid like we are seeing now. That way you can just see their tunnels appearing. Probably from this angle right about here. Anyway, there you go. You can see some of them mining their way through. Clearly, there are still some serious faults in these little sons of guns. Yeah, you can see a lot of them seem to actually be getting stuck. I'm not sure if this has to do with maybe server slowdown, or the game slowdown, I should say. You can see some of them are still mining, apparently. I just couldn't see these from where I left the camera. This one looks like it mined its way out and then couldn't actually see the asteroid, possibly because of an angle. Yeah, clearly these still have a lot of work, but you get the basic idea of them. This one, I have no idea why it failed. It looks like it should still be in range to see stuff. Let's actually go ahead and fly inside of it really quickly. And this will give us an idea of what the sensors are seeing. So we pop through this wall, and all 4 sensors are indeed on, so it's not turning in any direction. Yeah, this is a problem because it's slightly in a valley, I think. Very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. I'm thinking maybe I could counter that if I drop the rear sensors to be... not go back so far. That way it would turn around sooner after it got out of the asteroid. But I'll save that for later. This is my first shot at this thing. I'll be putting out some more advanced ones sometime in the future, probably. Clearly these still have some work, and I'm thinking part of the reason why they're snagging and stopping is because... oh, this one actually seems like it still has all of its drills. Well, I'm thinking part of the reason is just because the armor plating on the sides, even though it all looks like it's making it even just barely, clearly something weird is going on here. And if we do Alt-Shift F12, we can see our collision meshes. It all looks like it should be clear. I can't see the collision mesh of the asteroid, unfortunately, but it looks like it should be just barely getting through here. But I'm thinking it's because these metal bits on the sides, even though they should be within the safe area of these big drills, I don't think they are. Possibly right here at these corner points. Yeah, looks like it might have hit there. I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, guys, that's that. Not exactly the perfect drone yet. Still got to work on it some more. By the way, through testing, I thought it might be cool to share this first asteroid back here. It was the first one I was testing on. If you want to look inside of it, you can see through a few days of testing, this thing got completely dug out. It was pretty cool. Anyways, that's it. Sorry I can't present you with a fully functional product yet. It's giving me some troubles, and I'll reach that point where I'm probably going to stop working on it for a while, or else I'll just get completely burnt out on it. Hopefully I'll get back to it sometime in the near future, who knows. But that's that. It'll be up on the Steam Workshop if you like to fiddle around with it yourself. I'll hopefully get it working one day. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Stupid drone.